As you ride through Caelid, you find yourself dismounted and you leave Torrent behind as you are invaded by a young woman named Millicent. You then go ahead and fight Millicent to kill her, grab her runes, and move on. But this is only the beginning of when we're going to see Millicent in Elden Ring. Let's get into it. You are about to start Millicent's questline. This is one of my absolute favorite quests in all of Elden Ring. The story is rich, the lore is there, and it is amazing. So you are going to start the quest off in Caelid, finding a man named Gowry sitting in a shack, and Gowry is going to request that you heal a young girl that he knows, and he will tell you the secrets of Sellia. So exhaust all of his dialogue until he starts to repeat himself, and within this dialogue, you're going to have him request that you find a golden needle within the swamp of Ionia here in Caelid. Once you can find that needle, you're going to return to him, which is going to bring us to the next part of the quest. So in the next part of the quest, you are going to have to kill Commander O'Neill in the middle of the Swamp of Ionia in Caelid, and once you have done this, he's going to drop the needle for you, and at which point you can take the needle back to Gowry, who is going to then give you the Sellia's secret on a piece of paper for your troubles of getting the gold needle. You will then need to leave the gold needle with him for a time, which typically means you need to go rest at a grace and then come back, and he will then give you the completed gold needle. While you wait for Gowry to finish fixing the needle, you're then going to run into the town of Sellia. There's going to be 3 towers in which you need to light, and there's a very specific way that you can get on them by traversing the giant tree roots that are all over the town. Once you have lit all 3 of these particular torches, then a seal will open and you can run through, which is going to lead you to the Church of the Plague, which is where we are going to find Millicent. Once you find her, she's going to tell you about the scarlet rot that is destroying her body, and you're going to want to exhaust all of her dialogue so that she starts to repeat herself, and then you can rest at the grace and go back and find Gowry. Upon your return to Gowry's shack, you will find him still sitting there in the chair, but the needle has been completed and you will receive it from him. Once he gives you the needle and you exhaust his dialogue, then you're going to make your way back to the Church of the Plague. Upon your return to the Church of the Plague, you'll still find Millicent sitting next to the grace against the wall. You're going to talk to her to exhaust her dialogue, and you will have the option to give her the gold needle. Once you give her the gold needle, she's going to ask you to turn away, and at that point, you can go ahead and rest at the grace. As you get up from the grace, you're going to see Millicent standing against a wall, and you're going to go ahead and go talk to her and exhaust all of her dialogue. Once you have done that, she is going to give you the Prosthesis-wearer's Talisman, which is going to boost your dexterity. Once you've received the Talisman, our next part of the quest is going to take us all the way back to Gowry's shack. I do want to say, before you come back to Gowry's shack, go ahead and rest at the grace at the Church of the Plague so that Millicent has a chance to move down to her next part of the quest line. Once you arrive at Gowry's shack, you're going to see Millicent standing there, and she's going to tell you how this place seems very familiar to her. Go ahead and exhaust all of her dialogue, and then she will move on to her next part of the quest after you leave Gowry's shack. As we make our way through the next part of the quest line, we are actually not going to have Millicent involved at all in this particular part. What you're going to do is you're going to head up to the Shaded Castle, which is going to be in the northwest of the map, right in between Volcano Manor and Altus Plateau. Once you get there, you're going to run through the castle, and you're going to find a Cleanrot Knight who you need to kill, and then in the chest behind him, you're going to snag an item we need to give Millicent later, which is going to be the Valkyries Prosthesis. After you leave the Shaded Castle, you're going to find yourself in the Altus Plateau at the Erdtree Grazing Hill Grace. You are going to find Millicent standing a little ways off, overlooking the entire valley of Altus Plateau, and you're going to run up to her and give her the Valkyries Prosthesis. Exhaust all of her dialogue for her to move on to the next part of her quest. The next place you're going to find Millicent is in the Windmill village in the top right of Altus Plateau. You're going to find her after you kill the Godskin Apostle, rest at the grace, and she will be standing there. Once you see her, run over to her and talk to her, exhaust all of her dialogue, and then you can move on to the next part of the quest. You're probably noticing by this point that her quest is a very long one, and you are correct. This quest spans throughout the entirety of the game, almost to the very, very end of the game. So, and the next place you're going to meet her after you leave Altus Plateau is in the Mountaintop of the Giants. Once you approach this grace, you're going to see Millicent standing by a bush and a column, and she's going to tell you that she's on the search for a place called the Haligtree, and that there's a secret entrance in how to get there. Once you exhaust all of her dialogue, the next place you're going to actually find Millicent to progress her quest line is going to be in the prayer room of the Haligtree. However, I will say right now, if you progress past this point and kill the fire giant, there is a possibility that other quest lines will be closed off to you, so just be mindful of that and make sure you have everything done you need to before that locks you out of the rest of the quest lines in this game. As you approach the prayer room, you're going to find a clean rot knight. It is very important that you kill him before you run into the prayer room and grab the grace. He does have the potential of running in after you and killing Millicent, which would ruin the entire quest line, so you want to make sure you kill him before you enter the prayer room. Once you enter the prayer room, you're going to find Millicent standing against a wall. You're going to exhaust all of her dialogue, and you're also going to find out some very interesting lore about Millennia here in this conversation as well, which I think is super awesome and just goes back into how great the lore is of this particular quest. And once you've done all this, you're going to rest at this grace in order to get Millicent to move on to one of the final parts of her quest. As you make your way through the Haligtree, you're going to find a giant open room full of scarlet rot, and there's going to be a summon sign on the ground where you can summon her sisters to kill her, or you can summon Millicent to help kill her sisters. You do get different rewards for both, which I will go over at the end of the video. In this playthrough, I went ahead and summoned Millicent to help her kill her sisters. Once you have killed all 4 of her sisters, you will then be rewarded with the Rotten Wings Sword Insignia, which is one of the best talismans in the game, and it greatly raises your attack power with successive attacks. This is a very fitting reward for a very long quest line. You're then going to find Millicent leaning up against a rock wall. You need to talk to her and exhaust all of her dialogue. Come to find out that Millicent has taken the golden needle out of her arm, which has been killing her slowly with the scarlet rot reinvading her body. You're then going to exhaust all of her dialogue here and go rest at the drainage channel Grace. Once you do that, you're going to return to this spot where you will not find Millicent, but in fact, the only thing that's going to be left from the scarlet rot is going to be the golden needle. Now, if you end up betraying Millicent and summoning her sisters, you're going to end up with a different talisman reward. You're actually going to get the Millicent's Prosthesis, which is going to boost your dexterity and your attack power with successive attacks. It's not as good, in my opinion, as the Rotten Winged Insignia, but this is a great reward nonetheless if you want to choose the different version of the questline. If you do want to figure out what happened to Gowry, all you need to do is return to his shack, and he's going to be in a state of despair where he's just repeating the same lines over and over and over again. If you would like to, although I don't know the repercussions long-term if he's going to be in a DLC or not, you can kill him and grab his ball bearing and the Phlox Canvas Talisman. This talisman is going to greatly increase the potency of your incantations, which is really, really good. And guys, that's it for Millicent's questline. Like I said, it's one of the best questlines, in my opinion, in the entire game. I hope that if a DLC comes out, there's equally or better questlines out there. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can know when I make a new Elden Ring content. I have a ton of Elden Ring build videos that are super cool and really, really fun to play, so make sure you check those out, guys. And until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.